Hi, and welcome to Across the Desk. I'm your host, Kit Fairchild. This week, I had a couple of interesting things I've seen online with a few county officials of Oklahoma County, and I kind of want to talk about them this week and let you guys know a few things that I saw on some of their posts that really wanted to do a show on. So I'm cruising online, checking out posts on Twitter and Facebook, and I noticed something from one of our people here in the county government. That would be the assessor, Larry Stein. Well, he posted some things during the election about mail-in ballots, and I kind of wanted to point out a couple of things he posted. One, he was concerned about people voting by mail without showing proper ID, but we know they changed that in the law for the COVID time so that you could actually add your copy of your ID to your absentee ballot. But he went on saying, I got to show ID for paint and I got to show ID for all this other stuff. Why should I do a mail-in ballot? And what did he say? He says aren't secure ballots and illegal voting measures something everyone should support? Well, yeah, it is something everyone should support. But the way he puts this is kind of a logical fallacy. That's a logical fallacy argument. It sets up a bifurcation. Either you agree with me that I can't buy ID, that I can't buy spray paint, lighter fluid, auto spray lubricants or alcoholic beverages without a government issue ID, but here we are going to do mail-in voting without it. And it's fallacious. So he's setting up a bifurcation, which is basically, hey, you're either for it or you're against it. There's no two alike, right? So if you're for it, then you got to agree with me, and if you're against it, well, you just got to be totally against it. But there's a few things that just don't add up. One, voting is a constitutional right. It's not anything else like buying alcohol or driving a car. Those are typically driving a car would be a privilege, and buying paint the ID for, but state laws and everything else. But buying paint isn't a constitutional right. It's not set up that way. Like voting is. It's part of our Constitution. We have the absolute right to vote in our elections. There's nothing in the Constitution that says we have the absolute right to buy paint without an ID. There's nothing in there, and cities and states can set up the ordinances and laws all they want on that they can. So that's the difference between voting and buying paint at the store that Larry Stein wants to, in a way of a fallacy, equate, because that's what that is. This is equivalency fallacy. It's a bifurcation fallacy. I mean, he throws two fallacies right in a row in one post. And then you get everybody else coming on saying, hey, this doesn't make sense because, the military has been voting for years this way. So he's like, well, the chances of the military, having their votes tampered with in election fraud is very slim. So we can give those guys a pass. And I want to remind everybody, this is an elected official that we've tasked with securing and that, the oaths in the Constitution. And here's a guy saying, well, they deserve to have a different set of rules than everybody else. And that's totally not what the Constitution says. It says our laws have to be applied equally to everyone or they're not constitutional. And here's a guy, our assessor in the Oklahoma County government, saying, I disagree with this part of the Constitution. I think certain laws ought to be subject to certain people and other laws shouldn't have to be subject to certain other people. So there you go, Larry Stein being very unconstitutional with his points of view when it comes to mail-in voting. And this is something that I find very curious, probably on a sociological level, because you got these guys crawling all over themselves to defend a position that the president has taken on mail-in voting and absentee voting, which we have here in Oklahoma and we've had for many, many years, and it works without a problem. I did it just in the last primary. It's really cool because you can actually go to the Oklahoma Election Board site and see your ballot, watch it go through the process of, sending it to you, that they received it, and that it has been counted. You can actually see it. And it's got a really great paper trail when it comes to mail-in voting, and the fraud is absolutely nil here in Oklahoma. Sure, we've had a couple of cases of fraud when it comes to mail-in voting, like this guy in North Carolina, but hey, there you go again. This is a thing where Republicans get caught doing something and go, hey, look, there's voter fraud because we're doing it and we need to stop it. So you guys can't do mail-in ballots because we're a bunch of frauds and we're going to cheat if you do this, so we just can't do it. And it's almost, it's like a joke. It's like a clown joke on its face. And this is what you get with the kookiness and the clownishness of conservatism today when they're falling all over themselves to defend the President of the United States who mail-in votes himself, to be against mail-in voting. And I kind of get it in a way. They want to play devil's advocate, but that's really not what they're doing, is it? So they're trying to come up with any goofy idea they can that says mail-in voting is a fraud, and it isn't. There's no proof of that. There's no existence of it. As a matter of fact, the only proof there is are Republicans doing it. Now, another guy I want to talk about in Oklahoma County government is Commissioner Kevin Calvi. He put out a post on his Facebook page about Black Lives Matter mural on the county jail. Well, he's totally against it, and and comes out now. I think he's overstepped because he said he's totally against any political message or anything of the sort on public buildings, which is kind of here we go again. Likes to dish it, just doesn't like to take it very well, because he's all about having the 10 Commandments in our schools, in God we trust on public buildings, 10 Commandments everywhere else, which we all know these are right-wing message points, and these are right-wing tools that they use themselves as political weapons and political victories is what they're doing it for. So here we go, Kevin Calvi, who's against a BLM mural on a public building, and personally I don't know how I feel about it personally, but here we go, and it goes deeper than that. This is kind of a slippery slope deal, because then they go, if you read the post, if you go to Kevin Calvi's Facebook page and read the post in here, it goes further than that. Well, any government property, including street right-of-ways, so you get where they're painting it, you get it now, they're painting Black Lives Matter on the streets. Well, they're totally against this. They're totally against that whatsoever. And in no more reason than they're just against Black Lives Matter organization. If you read Kevin Calvi's post, he starts calling them Marxist. This organization, they're just Marxist. That's what these leaders of the organization are. They attribute to a Marxist ideology, and that's what they want to turn us into, which is totally laughable. Here we go again. Keywords Republicans use as cudgels, as weapons to use, so that they can rile up their base. That's all it is. Doesn't know the meaning of the word Marxist, but you know what? If you're a Democrat, if you oppose them in any way, or if you're part of this Black Lives Matter movement, then you're a Marxist. And that's just how we're going to label you. Regardless of what the definition means, we want to label you that because that's our boogeyman today. And that's the person that we fear the most. It's the person that we hate the most. And we got to have someone over here on this side to hate in order to get our enthusiasm up. And that's how they roll. And that's how Kevin Calvi's rolling right here. He's not advocating a position for anything else. He comes out and says, I believe, Black Lives Matter, I believe that, but the organization are Marxist, and he's not really listening to what they're saying, if that's what he believes, because there's no real economic message of that type with Black Lives Matter. It's all about criminal justice reform. if that's what Black Lives Matter is about, he wants to turn it into some kind of economic quest. Because when you look up the true definition of Marxism and everything else, it has to do with economies. It has to switch it to a type of socialist economy where people are in charge of production and own the means of their production. And that's not what Black Lives Matter is doing. They're just saying, hey, Black Lives Matter just as much as everyone else's, and when you're putting the neck on people and you're killing them doing that, you're not treating them like everybody else. Then they demand justice, they demand equality. That's what this is about. That's what the Black Lives Matter movement is about. And if Kevin County thinks it's about Marxism, then he is just not listening, refusing to listen, and coming up with his own narrative for his own selfish personal benefit. The last line of crazy that I really want to talk about doesn't have to do with anybody in Oklahoma County, but the Pottawatomie County Republican Party. Here you go. The chair of this party, this is an elected seat, by the way, going off on Kendra Horn. And if you look at it, the far left Democrats, Kendra Horn, far left, Kendra Horn's a far left Democrat. Of course, I get it. They got to label them that. They got to rile their base somehow, right? Fear and loathing. That's what it's all about. So they just say, well, they'll have you believe she's working for you. She really is. She really is. She's done a lot of good for Oklahoma so far. People are stealing this election. She is stealing this election. She's stealing the election. I wonder how they come up with that. So do you think State Question 802 was a sham? Fact, there were record numbers of absentee ballot requests. Fact, Kendra Horn's campaign bought and paid for official-looking requests and mailed them to certain demographics. Really? You know what? She didn't. What she did was she did put out a thing to request your ballot and how to do it. But to say that she put out something that looked like a ballot that you could use, that's totally false. This is totally an unwarranted attack. It calls her a far left Democrat. That's crazy. Kendra Horn, a far left Democrat. I can think of many people who are way further left than she is. She's pretty moderate. If you go and look at her record, she's done some pretty moderate things. Here we go. The fact that Kendra Horn is okay. Well, let's see. It says fact. As of June 2020, she has over $3.2 million to spend on this campaign. Okay, maybe that's a fact. But here's again, they have to put that out as a fact, as some kind of selling point. Which is amazing to me. Here we go again. The conservative cowardice of likes to dish it. We're taking in a bunch of money. We take in a bunch of money from PACs, and Republicans always usually outraised because they got the business, or the business people have them in their pocket, and Democrats are raising off, people. And here you go, they're complaining about her raising money in a political campaign where, that's just how the rules are played, isn't it? So here you go again, wanting Kendra Horn to play by some sort of different rules than everybody else because, they might lose if she doesn't handicap herself in some way, and that's what Republicans like to do. If they can't win, then they want to handicap you or give themselves some kind of advantage that is undue and totally unfair. And then they don't want you to play by the same rules. They don't want you to play by those same rules either because they know that you can beat them if you do. And this comes into the whiny, just cowardly actions of Republicans today that you see with Pottawatomie County Republican Party going off on this. Yeah, she raised $3.2 million. Great. And here you go. As a fact, she has only spent $984,000 so far. Well, that's pretty smart, isn't it? Why would she spend any money so far when we don't even know? We're pretty sure Inhofe's the guy, but why would she spend any money? Here you go. They're trying to dictate her political strategy when she's got her own. It's obviously working good, see, because if her strategy wasn't working, they wouldn't be attacking her political strategy about not coming out and spending any money. Why would she if she's winning? Madden said, hey, and if the opposition can't stop the run, why do anything different? So here you go, Republicans in Pottawatomie County crying about Kendra Horn raising a bunch of money and not really spending any of it yet and waiting for the right moment to do so. Oh, man, she's going to campaign great. And that just makes us angry as Republicans because dang Democrats, campaigning good is just, that's just horrible for us. And I guess they got a point there. And the Pottawatomie County Republican Party want to complain about how the DNC is going to defend her seat. Well, yeah, why would they not? That's what the RNC would do. Isn't that what they do? Don't they come in and do that too? And here you go again, Republican, Pottawatomie County Republican Party, whoever it is who was putting this stuff out, probably the chair, not liking Democrats playing by the same set of rules. And that's too bad. You can whine, pout, moan, cry about it all you want. Me, I'm going to get great entertainment out of it because one, I'm thrilled that she's playing by the same rules. That's what she's got to do. And here they are crying about it. It's playing by the same rules we are. And how they don't see that just looks weak. I mean, how they can't see that, or how they seem justified that, hey, we're such of a higher level, we're the only ones who get to play by these rules. I mean, the arrogance of this one post by the Pottawatomie County Republican Party is just, it's unbelievable. It's so way out there somewhere that's so far beyond radical right wing that, it's kooky. It's kooky, it's clowny. And that's what you get with the GOP today, a big kooky clown show, and who can out clown the other? Is it gonna be Gates with a face mask, or what kind of clowny kooky thing, or is it gonna be Jim Minhoff with a snowball? I mean, what kooky clowny shtick are we gonna use this time, GOP? What are you gonna come up with? I have a show to do, so I'm ready for you to do it, and give me some material. Well, that's our show this week. Kind of wanted to talk about a few local things that were going on the county level in Oklahoma. And that's what you get with this show Across the Desk. I'm not going to talk too much about the culture wars or what's going on with COVID today. I might touch up on them if they hit things politically on the local level. But mostly this show, I want to talk about local Oklahoma issues that nobody's really hitting on. Everybody's already talking about BLM. Everybody's already talking about riots and protests. Everybody's already talking about the COVID numbers. You don't need me to talk about that. I would rather talk about things that nobody else is talking about, like the crazy stuff these guys in county positions are saying. Well, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the show this week. This is Across the Desk with Kit Fairchild, and we'll see you next week.